Watem here, and welcome back to some more Umineko and Seagulls Cry. I need to get this out in a couple of days. Oops. Kind of didn't realize how low on parts I was getting. In any case, I did have some thoughts on some of the things that have been happening. First of all, if 3 of the first siblings and their partners get killed, so if we just go to characters, if 3 of these or their partners get killed, and Shannon or George, as well as Jessica or Cannon, and probably one of Cannon and Shannon die. So, I mean, that would just need at least 5. Then, oh yeah, my first point was if the first 3, because we currently have these people, and maybe Rosers. I don't remember the exact composition of the people that are currently here, but if they all die, then the only real couple left would be George and Shannon. Should have to be. They'd probably have to be chosen for the second Twilight. But then that made me come to the conclusion that the Witch's Roulette cannot be truly random, or it may produce an impossible second Twilight. For example, one of these, one of these two, 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 and one of these two would require at least 5 people. Then you still have one more person to die on the first night, and now you don't have any 2 who are close to be torn apart anymore. So, Witch's Roulette cannot be completely random. Also, if Tea Party was supposed to be a possible Golden Land, and only the final 5 was supposed to go there, then why was Shannon, who died in the first batch in the previous chapter, there? So, also the riddle tells of the resurrection of all the dead souls and the resurrection of the love that was lost. So, first question, does this only happen if the gold is found? And if gold isn't found, do the 5 remaining still go to the Golden Land? There definitely feels like there's a contradiction with what we've been told by Canon. And between the two, like Witch and Canon, I'm more inclined to believe that Canon is misunderstanding something. But in any case, no idea what's going on, but people acknowledging the witch.
あなたはベアトリーチェ、後宮家の顧問錬金術師、そして偉大なる魔法の使い手、魔女であることを認めざるを得ない。
Battler isn't going to be happy. I did notice that this chapter of the the current chapter which we're in is called Wedding Rings. As I was loading the save. Okay, we're going into a mansion. I was expecting it to be the gazebo and George and Shannon talking. That happened last time, didn't it? Maybe? I can't remember. Maybe midnight? I don't know, I feel like it's still too early for midnight? Because we just had children leave after dinner. Or was that the part before that? No, I think that was the part before that. Never mind then. Time has passed. So this might be the first Twilight. Oh. The organ intro sounded familiar. But it wasn't at all. So it's showing where everyone is, I guess. Kinzo in his study. Oh, I was about to say the witch not in her VIP room, but okay, the witch is in her VIP room. I'm a bit confused about this portrait, I will say. Oh, morning, 6 o'clock. This isn't Halloween, it's October 5th, the second day. That really reminds me of Majora's Mask. A third day, 24 hours remaining. Except I guess it's the second day, 24 hours remaining. What is that sound that always fills my ears? Is it the sound of the rain? The sound of a waterfall? Or could it be radio static? If not, I want it to be the sound of blood through my body. I want it to be the sound of the blood circulating throughout me, telling me that I'm still alive. Bachelor? Kinzo. I think Kinzo. I was right. So, yeah, I mean, who would be thinking that? Someone who knows about the game and what's about to befall them, which is Kinzo and Bachelor. Between the two, that doesn't really strike me as a Bachelor thing. Light entering through a crack in the curtain was faint, but it at least told him that dawn had broken. Kinzo, still in the position he'd been when he woke up, still sitting in a chair and looking up at the ceiling, felt the blood slowly travel throughout his body. Judging by the clock, it was early morning, 6 o'clock on the dot. No matter how tired he was, no matter how deeply he slept, he always woke up at exactly this time, as though he had measured it with an hourglass. He didn't think of this as something to boast about, but he told himself that, as long as he could still manage this, himself couldn't be too bad, or that bad.
朝を迎えたということは、どうやら最初の生贄は逃れたということらしい。ルーレットの目が幸運だったのか、我が努力の賜物なのか。
Or maybe both. Who knows?
区別のつかぬところが何とももどかしいが、それは言うまい。
Kinzo was struck by a faint desire to see beyond the study door. After all, he might find some of the traces of someone's vain struggle to break through the door. A sign that someone had tried to select him as one of the first 6 sacrifices.
人間とは安っぽい生き物だな。人事を尽くして天命を待ちながら幸運を得られた時にはそれが単なる幸運ではなく己の技量によるものだったとうぬぼれたくもなる。
That was why he wanted to check whether there was a wretched mark on the door. A very desirous human. So, if he was thinking that in the previous episode, why would he leave? In which case, then the question becomes what made him leave. Alternatively, he's aware of the last time or something? And so and that's why he's focusing much more on defense this time? I don't think that is what happened, though. That's why Kinzo did not check. He often rejected desires that came to him because he was human. By doing that, he could be immersed in a feeling of sufficiency, as though he himself had become the thing that surpassed humans. He recognized human desires for what they were and guarded against them. Things that a human would want to do, he resisted, like eat and drink and sleep. This eccentricity and rebellious nature had surely given him a rare genius, making it possible for him to succeed in his exploits as he revived the Shurimiya family in a single generation.
さて、ベアトリーチェ。お前が取った6つの駒は何なのか。そして次なる手はどう来るのか。
Maybe there comes a time when he feels that he must leave. Because in the end, you need information. Like blindfold chess, you still hear what your opponent's moves are. I think it's called monk chess, where you can't see your opponent's pieces, but like you can see where your pieces would be stopped still. So for a pawn, for example, you can see that you can't move forward, so there must be something in front of you. And I think you're allowed to see what pieces you can take. But in all those cases, you never have no information. With the phone lines cut, maybe they've just been disabled, thinking about it? Because if they were able to get a connection at the very end, what if they've been magically disabled? Not sure. Yeah.
楽しませてもらうぞ。私の守りは完璧だ。前回のような無様はさらさぬぞ。
Oh? So maybe he does have some memories at least of the previous round. That's why he's focusing more on defense. Or maybe there was something that slipped his mind the first time, and so he's drawn up that defense. The servants woke early. They had to open the curtains, prepare breakfast, and complete various other tasks to welcome the guests to a new day. Gordo was the most enthusiastic. During the family conference, he had been told to concentrate his efforts especially on cooking, and he had been specially exempted from several tasks that servants normally must do. Gordo, who was a show-off, seemed to be feeling particularly superior because of that. He let Genji and the rest prepare the rest of the mansion, and worked on making breakfast in the kitchen. Genji split the work of Shannon and Kennen, and they carried out various tasks. Watched all the guests be dead, so if they're gone, then there'd just be basically 2 people left to serve for. Plus the children, but I'm not sure. I don't think he'd be quite as happy to only be serving children. Shannon headed to the dining hall and knocked. Last year, the family conference had continued into the early hours of the morning. It wouldn't have been odd if this year's conference had done the same. Considering the possibility that they were still having a discussion inside, she knocked. But there was no response, so she opened the door and said good morning. There was no one there. I'm wondering if they're making this the scene of a crime again, where they died, but then moving the bodies once more. So maybe there's something about this room for the first room? The room was cold, and the conference seemed to have ended a long time before. But there might still be blood? There was a tea set on the table from which they'd probably been drinking, arranged in a way that would make it easy to clean up. Cleaning up the tea was the servants' job. If the family members were extra generous and cleaned it up themselves, the servants would lose face. So, it was a truly pleasant act of kindness for the family to do only this much. As she approached the table to clean it up, She noticed something like a memo that had been left near the utensils and cups. Since it was right next to his tea set, Shannon picked it up, naturally thinking it was a memo for the servants doing the cleaning. Written there was not a request, nor was it thanks for preparing the tea. It was just a single word. Shannon looked at it blankly and read it out loud. Hmm? A small sound kept repeating over and over. Tick-tock, tick-tock? Normally that sound would have been too trivial to be worth caring about. If only I could stop hearing it sing, I could go back to sleep right away, she thought vaguely. But no matter how much time passed, the sound did not end. It repeated over and over. Ah, shut up. Who was it? Banging on the door this whole time. Oh. As soon as she realized that, she woke up. Someone was knocking. Then she noticed that it wasn't just a knock, but a voice as well.
ローザ様。ローザ様。おはようございます。
待って。今行きます。
It had been Genji's voice. Looking at the clock, it wasn't even 7 yet. It was clearly too early to wake the guests. Did something happen that was bad enough to cause this? She felt her sleepiness increasingly fade thanks to this premonition of misfortune. Though Genji was a servant, Rosa had known him since her childhood days, so even though she was slightly defenseless in her pajamas, she opened the door a crack and answered.
おはようございます。早朝から申し訳ございません。
何かあったの?
Cannot say for certain?
はい。
あ。
実は礼拝堂に。
Genji whispered something into Rosa's ear. For a second, it seemed Rosa couldn't understand what she'd been told. After having repeated it several times, she realized that apparently something strange had happened. Rosa closed her door for a second, changed her clothes quickly, and followed Genji towards the mansion. The chapel requires some explanation. Yeah, I don't think we've seen it before. It wasn't in the mansion, but in a grove behind it, a short walk's distance away. It had been built at the same time as the mansion, so though its walls had been repaired many times, making it look new from the outside, it was a very old building. Rosa dashed through the rain along with Genji. Just like the previous night, rain was falling in earnest. Eventually, the chapel came into sight from beyond a thin grove. That was yeah, that's definitely a more larger and fancier than I was expecting it to be. Just looking out from the outside, it seemed a place of dazzling beauty, where a pair of young lovers might want to get married. However, Kinzo apparently viewed it as a very sacred place. Resting place of Beatrice? Maybe? So Rosa and her siblings had been given strict instructions not to approach it unnecessarily. Even though they were all grown up now, approaching the chapel for any reason would still make them feel guilty. And also afraid, as if their father might get angry and hit them in the face. The servant silhouettes could be seen in front of the chapel's entrance. Gordo, Shannon and Cannon. Which meant that all the servants of the morning shift had been gathered. A short while ago, Genji had spoken to Rosa, telling her what the situation was. However, without laying eyes on it directly, she definitely hadn't been able to understand. It's probably the same for all the servants gathered here as well. Without seeing it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have been able to understand what was going on. In the door at the entrance to the chapel was something very large, drawn with this creepy, stringy paint, made one think of blood. Something like a creepy magic circle. So we're using this magic circle again, which makes me think that we'll probably be seeing the other ones as well. So yeah, that's all fine and all, but the Discord one, is that going to make a reappearance? Because that felt specific to that situation. Then again, this might be the only one that's reused for the preparing the gate thingy.
何よこれいつ書かれたの
The servants looked at each other. Gordor was the first to open his mouth.
申し訳ございません。普段はここへは立ち入りませんもので、いつ書かれたのかはわかりません。
じゃあ最初に見つけたのは誰？はい、私食堂へお茶の道具の片付けに行きましたら、礼拝堂と書かれたメモがあったもので。
Also wondering, who wrote it? Whose handwriting is it? Or is it even a person's handwriting? Or is it faked? Shannon held out the memo with a shaking hand.
誰の字？
That's what I'm saying.
兄さんや姉さんの字ではないわね。それであなたはここへ来てこれを見つけたのよ。はい。
ローザ様、これを。
何？
Happy Halloween.
ハッピーハロウィン。For
In English too. Cannon pointed at a single line of English written below the creepy magic circle. Until it had been pointed out to her, she thought it was just another part of the magic circle. There, the following words were written in English. Happy Halloween for Maria. Happy Halloween for Maria. This creepy magic circle. I just realised that will be English and then that will be Japanese. It's for Maria. Happy Halloween. This is Halloween. Yesterday only one person had said Happy Halloween to Maria. The key phrase matched. It was the Golden Witch, Beatrice. Beatrice.
マリアは？あの子、いとこたちと一緒に寝てるはずよね。確認した？
申し訳ございません。マリア様のお名前が書かれていたことには今気づきましたもの。まだ確認しておりません。至急。
何やってんのよ。私はマリアの様子を見てきます。それからクラウス兄さんたちにも知らせて、以後の対応の指示を受けて。
After saying that much, Rosa finally noticed that something was odd. Her own rank in this family conference was the lowest of the four siblings. Why had she been the only one called during an abnormal situation like this, when the other siblings hadn't been? Even if Maria's name had popped up.
はい。旦那様にご連絡申し上げようとしたのですが、お姿が見当たらず。
奥様もお部屋におられません。シーツの様子からすると、昨夜はベッドに戻られていないのかもしれません。
So I'm guessing that scene we saw at the start and like end of last part was also in the chapel. Was Rosa there? Can't remember. Rosa felt something creepy crawling slowly down, up her back. Up, down, same diff.
礼拝堂の中確認した。い
え、まだです。確認しようとしたのですが。
実は礼拝堂の鍵は特別でマスターキーに対応しておりません。一本だけある鍵でしか開けられないのですが、その鍵がキーボックスから紛失しているのです。
So that's different. They didn't return the key, unlike last time. For the first. She didn't want to get closer to the door with a creepy magic circle if she could. Rosa readied herself and approached, then tried pushing and pulling the knob. All she felt was the resistance of a sturdy lock.
入れる窓などがないか探してはみたのですが、もし中を確認するのでしたら窓を破らなければならないかと思います。いかがいたしましょう。
そんな許可私に出せるわけがないわ。お父様の大切な礼拝堂なのよ。そんなことできないわよ。
At that time, the events of the previous days swirled around in the back of Rosa's mind. That's right. When I met that witch in the Rose Garden, didn't she hand Maria an envelope? Yeah, there's no mistake. She did hand it over. When Maria tried to open it, the witch told her not to do it yet, and then she surely said, "Time to open that will come soon." Rosa was sure. There could be no mistake. The envelope Maria had received was... a key? Oh. No confirmation? Okay. Oh. Yeah, so if the only key is sealed within, what's it called? Yeah, if the only key is sealed within the envelope, then it's even more, like, reinforced, like a locked room situation, because key is sealed within the envelope for the entire duration, when the bodies are put in and then the door locked. So this is basically just an improvement upon the first set from last time, where there was still the opening that someone could fetch the keys and then return them. Or it could have been one of the servants, but this time the key has been sealed. And I'm guessing that we'll see the key be unsealed now. So I feel like going forwards with this episode, like episode 2, that we'll get two main things. One will be that they try to work to solve the riddle, but I'm guessing that they won't succeed. And 2, all of the tricks that were in the first episode will be improved upon. What was the second one? Because one of them was the storehouse key. Another was Kinzo disappearing from his locked room. I think there was one in between those two, and then there was the locked room from Eva and Hideyoshi. I'm not sure how they'll improve upon that one. They might not. But with how Kinzo's been talking about the defense, how he's improved upon his defenses, I feel like it's then going to just lead to an even stronger locked room argument against him, as opposed to just a piece of paper stuck in the doorway. It will be much stronger somehow or another. Actually, that's a good question. Does Gorda still have the key, or does Kinzo have it? For the study. Because I don't think that one's opened by the master key. And is something of a loose end still. If all the keys are within the room, then none of the servants would be able to actually get in, or anyone else take the key to get in. So before we get any confirmation on the key being in the envelope of maybe something else's. I think I went to bed for today. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know any feedback you have in the comments, yes. And until next time, see ya.